kind of just set the stage for everybody, like start off with a little bit of words and just kind of give you guys a framing for what we're going to talk about today. And I'm just super excited for Bindy's spotlight here today. And I know a lot of you guys are here to hear this blueprint that she's really put together. I know that if you are here, you're serious about elevating your real estate game. And trust me, like Bindy is the right person to learn from. And she has just an amazing story to share. And I know it's going to resonate with a lot of you deeply, especially if you're an experienced agent who kind of got into this game before 2019 like Bindy did. It's been a roller coaster since COVID.
Sure.
And we're kind of all still trying to figure out this new normal.
Mm-hmm.
And so Bindy's reining in from Riverside, California. and she's kind of seen it all, right? And she got into the real estate around 2017. She had an amazing 2020 and 2021, navigating one of the hottest real estate markets we've ever seen. She built a team. She's closed deals left and right and was thriving. And I think we all know April 2022, right? Seemingly overnight, interest rates doubled and the best sales market we've ever seen came to a halt.
Right.
So Bindy, for myself, like I've been in real estate for 12 years and I remember that month so clearly. And it's because it was such a frightening time. Like I was scared that month of April when I saw things happening.
Right.
The actions dropped off ferociously and we entered this new era of like just historically low transaction volume. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but more than 50% of real estate agents didn't close a transaction in 2024. More than half signed to an MLS.
I believe that.
It's
I believe
crazy.
that. I mean, the numbers dropped dramatically. And I'm part of this mastermind group and they were talking about that, saying like, you know, be on the lookout for it because it's coming.
Yeah.
So I hope you have some like reserves saved if you want to stay in the game
at that time. And so the most experienced, the most talented agents, they've had transactions be hard to come by. And so people keep predicting this mass exodus of real estate agents, but people continue to renew their dues year after year in hopes for a better day.
Right.
But I think what I've seen, and probably you've seen too, is hope's not enough.
Right.
We've seen people start driving Uber, taking second-time jobs, taking part-time jobs, and many people are still continuing to fight. And like that's you right here, Bindy, right? Like you're a fighter at the heart. And you haven't been waiting for light at the tunnel. You've been clawing and fighting your way through that darkness.
Yep. Until I found you guys. And I was like, hey, you guys got leads. I'll work on. Give them to me.
Leads, yes. So Bindy, in 4 months, you joined our Earn Fast system. You completely transformed your business again. And as we sit here today, I checked it this morning, and you didn't sign any in the last couple hours, I hope, because I haven't been on my email. So 31 doors.
Come in this morning.
One this morning. I counted that one. Yeah. 31 accounts, 33 doors. That's $33K in net commission that's already been direct deposit in your bank, not in escrow waiting. And you also have 3 listing agreements, all from the investment partner program.
Yes. Yes. And I think I got a buyer, a double ending. I think I'm going to be double ending the $1 million listing.
And add that one to the list.
Yeah. I'm negotiating right now.
You're earning really fast, though. You're building a bigger financial future. Because I don't know if you knew this, but you have 141 homeowners that have been added to your database over the last 4 months as well. 141. Okay. And so I've got a lot of questions lined up for Bindy today, but please use the chat to ask your questions, share your thoughts, and make the most of this opportunity to learn from one of the best.
That's cool.
All right, Bindy. I'm off my soapbox. You're going to be talking the rest of the time, not me.
Okay.
Can you share a little bit about your background in real estate, kind of how your career has evolved over the last 7 years?
Sure. Yeah. So starting in 2017, when I first started, it was in August. So it was like towards the later year. But in 2016, I was working with a real estate investor. So I was getting some gyps of like pre-foreclosures and notice of defaults. So I was knocking on doors just to kind of like make appointments for this investor that I was working with. Then I got my license in 2017 in August, and I closed 4 deals in my first year. But it was all from my sphere of influence, all family and friends. And then the next year, I want to say, I think I closed 8 or 9 sites. But I had like a family tragedy happen. So I had to focus more on my family versus on real estate. So I had to put on pause a little bit. And then I want to say after in 2019 and 2020, 2019 is when I started more ramping. I think I did 13 sites. And then 20 and 21 is where I started going like between like 30 to 40 sites. Wow. So I closed 40 sites in 21. And when I say sites, it's both sides. That's wholesale deals. That's traditional buying and selling. doing probates, doing foreclosures, pre-foreclosures. I had an assistant at the time, and I had two buyer's agents that were working with me. So when they were out there showing properties, I was pretty much writing contracts and just like getting the agreements out there. So we're trying to work like as a team to
Yeah,
where everyone's winning.
that's amazing.
And then yeah, then everything started slowing down. And I want to say last year and the year before was probably the hardest years. Like last year, I think I only did 8 sides last year,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, I don't know. Do I need to get out of the game? Do I need to like go find a job? Like, what am I going to do? And then when I went on Indeed and I saw your investment partner posted, I was like, hey, this is great because I like working with investors. It takes the emotion side out of the real estate of the transactions, and then it's just all numbers driven. But I like doing traditional buying and selling too because this is one of the largest purchases that one makes, and on average, it's on a lifetime. They say people buy and sell houses 4 times in a lifetime. Like that's in a lifetime. That's a long time. So a lot of people are not versed in regards to real estate. And then how do they know who to go to and who to trust? So that's where it's like anytime when I talk to someone, I try to provide value from the very start in whatever it is, whether it's, wanting to buy, sell contingent sales, or even just having questions with the lending side or whatever their motivation is. Cause, sometimes it's a case by case basis. Pre foreclosures, obviously people are in a hardship, and we got to be sensitive to that fact that these are people's lives. And of course, when you come in, you can't come in hard. You got to come in soft, to gain trust in a matter of seconds. And then a lot of my business is referrals too. So a lot of my clients have been giving me repeat business from family and friends. And then I like to do client appreciation events. So I've put on a few events where I've rented out movie theaters. I purchased concessions like popcorns and soda. And then I bought candies, those boxes of candies from Costco. And then I went
Nice.
around the room like to all my clients because my clients are cool. Like I become friends with them. So I'm like, hey, you guys want some candy? Want some candy, little girl? So I'll walk around the room, you give me candies to them. And then at the end, I bought $1,000 worth of raffle prizes from like
Oh,
Costco.
nice.
And just, like pots, pans, like little things that people can use just in life in general. And I did raffle tickets. Anyone that came and got a raffle ticket, and everybody left with a price
That's
and,
so
and,
cool.
and, and, whatever the value is. So,
Yeah, keep everybody included. I love that.
yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I haven't done that the past 2 years. And I want to do that this year. I plan on doing that another one this year because I do plan on, with your guys' team and setup that you put together is such a win-win to where I can utilize that and maximize on that and just try to get as much clients and business as possible. And then if anyone that wants to work with me, it's like game on, let's go.
I love that. And something that you said that really stuck out to me was there's two things that you said that really stuck out: game of trust and matter of seconds. Like I think that was really insightful. So I want to talk more about that. And then making the friends with your clients. So how do you kind of like integrate making friendships with your clients and integrating that into your daily life?
Well, I mean, sometimes you're not going to always jive with everyone. I mean, that's, common sense, but like the ones bottom line is, they don't know, or some people do know. I mean, they're experienced with buying and selling in real estate, and everyone's going to always have an input. So anytime when I'm talking to someone and we're about to open like a deal together or we're home shopping, I'm like your family and friends, they're all going to say, oh, this happened to me and this happened to me. And you got to go with this person or whatever insight that happened to them in their side of the transaction, they're going to throw that into their head, whoever that you're working with. So I always tell them, if there's any questions or concerns that come up through this whole entire process, and I like to start with buyer's consultations too. Talk to me about it. Bring it to my attention because this is my full-time gig. This is what I do 24/7. And really, like my ex-boss told me, if you want to be successful in real estate, you got to eat and breathe real estate. And it's true, like all the time. I'm always like eating and breathing real estate, talking about it. But really, all it is just making sure that I'm answering any questions that come up. I don't want to say like constantly engaging in them, but just seeing where they're at. So time frame wise, because people aren't always ready, and if they're not ready, like I'll introduce them to the lender, and then I have to follow up on that just to see where they're at. I know if they're ready, if they're going to give their paperwork right away. Like if they come in and I send them to my lender and they send their paperwork to my lender, or when I do a buyer's consultation, I tell them to bring their paperwork into my office. And then they'll come to my office and they'll bring their paperwork, and then I know they're ready to go. And at that,
That's a great season pro tip right there. Is if they bring the paperwork, then they're serious and ready to
mhm.
go. Great.
Yeah, the paperwork that they have, because a lot of people don't have scanners at home, and if they don't,
Sure.
and if they're working remotely, then they don't. You can't take pictures of all the pages of your taxes.
Yeah.
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 So, and then two, with the banks, they all want the bank statements, and they want every single page because lenders are finicky, they're picky.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So, I have them come to the office, and then I'll download their statements on my computer right then and there, like right when they're in front of me. So then that way I get their docs ready, and then I send them off to the lender of choice, because different clients have different lenders. Like W-2 people are different from 1099 people. So it's different qualifying factors that come
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah. That was super helpful to hear some of these. Like we got to hear there how you got some of the success in 2020 and 2021, like some of the strategy and habits that you did, and that was amazing. When that market shift happened in April 2022, and I mentioned like you're a fighter, you fought through the darkness. What was it that helped you fight through, and what helped you keep you in real estate to keep fighting?
I'm the head of household in my house. I don't have a choice to fail. So it's like I need to either, keep striving and keep going after it as far as like trying to get in front of those that are motivated, that are ready to go right now, or I got to go to a job. And I worked in the automotive industry for 22 years before I came into real estate, and I hated it. Like I hated it. I mean,
Yeah.
I did different jobs. I was an office manager. I was a project director. I was a service consultant. Like I did different positions there, and it was good for that season in my life at that time in my life. But once, like I always dreamed about, being in real estate. And then once I got my license, I was like, oh no, like this is it. Like I want to retire in this. And even then, I don't think I'll ever retire. But I was telling this to Alex earlier. I'm like, I want to just be in a position to where I'm set up to where I have residual income coming in, and I can work because I want to, not because I have to. And I have a 10-year goal to do that. Like I turned 50 this year. I'm like so old. And like by the next 10 years, like I want to just be able to have money coming in to where I live comfortably. And I'm not saying like rich. I don't need to be rich. I just want to make sure that my family's taken care of and that I'm taken care of, to live a comfortable life without having to work so hard
That's
as I'm
amazing.
doing right now.
That's amazing. I believe that's the new American dream. So like the old American dream used to be owning your own home. The new American dream is having financial freedom and being able to live on your own terms.
Oh,
And
financial freedom, exactly.
yeah, yeah,
And
that's
I want to
incredible.
do that through property. I want to buy property.
Want to buy
So,
property.
I have a property in Vegas. I have a few properties, and so I'm selling my Vegas property to single family, and I want to do a 1031 exchange myself, and I want to buy a triplex or a fourplex this year.
Nice.
Like that's my goal.
Heck yeah. I love that. Super exciting. So when you were kind of sharing all that, that was really helpful. The part that really stuck up to me was the first thing you said is you were all in, and you're always all in.
Yeah,
And
you have to
that's
be.
so important, right? There's no hesitation. There's no other thought. It's I'm all in. That's amazing.
Like I don't have a choice. It's like but you have a certain lifestyle that you want to live, and it's like when you're used to that, you don't. Obviously, you have to scale in regards to live within your means, and I'm usually pretty good at that. But there's goals that I have, and things that I want to achieve, and I want to travel. I love traveling, and I want to go ride my Harley out of state. I want to
Yeah.
like just get after it. But the only way you could do that is by hustling. I don't want to say hustling, it's such a bad word, but it really is kind of a grind and a hustle sometimes. And sometimes
Right.
you can get easily burnt out. And
Yeah.
so instead of like my burnout, or to avoid a burnout, is just getting on my Harley and riding. And even then, sometimes riding my Harley to appointments. I do that too sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's
Yeah,
great insight.
motorcycles.
I think that's great insight for everybody on the call today is like you have to have that place that you release, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like you said, it's a grind. It can be a grind. And yes, you can be excited about going to work, but you also have to be excited about going home or going on this ride, right? That's going to get you a release. So
It's a balance.
yeah,
Like
it's all
you need a
about
balance in everything. Everything's about you have to have some kind of a balance. You have to have your family time. You have to cut out certain time frames to where you take your business serious in that sense. Where it's like I mean, I don't know. I get text messages at 9 o'clock, and I'll still respond to them,
Yeah.
even though sometimes I won't. Though it just kind of all depends on what I got going on.
Me too, Bindy. It's because we're both all in. You got to do it when you're all in.
For sure, for sure.
So this past year in 2024, you shared with me that you had tried a couple different homes, and so you moved to a couple different brokerages. How did
Yeah.
that impact your ability to find like stability in your business and regain momentum each time?
Oh, for sure. So, I mean, last year I actually changed 5 brokerages. I was telling Susan that because I brought Susan on because she's a
Yeah,
friend of
yeah.
mine, and I never done that. So, I mean, just from January of last year to this year, well, obviously to now. Everyone that I went to, every brokerage that I went to, I opened up a deal and I closed a deal with them. So, so it's not like they didn't get anything because they did get a deal from me.
Right.
Um, but I kept asking them. I said, "Do you guys have leads?" And they're like, "No, we don't have any leads." And then it's like, well, I don't have the money to buy Zillow leads, and I don't have the funds to do that. I'm barely making ends meet now. If my clients are not ready, like my sphere of influence that I've been, using and reaching out to your past clients, and just if people are skeptical in regards to the market alone, what are you going to do? And so this is again, that's when I found you guys as far as like the leads and changing, brokerages. They all want me back. They still call me. They're like, "When are you coming back?" I'm like, "I'm not. I'm happy where I'm at right now." I'm like,
I bet after they see
thanks.
this call, then they're definitely going to be calling you.
They're like, I just literally had a call the other day from the owner of Century 21. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with you guys' infrastructure, and there's nothing wrong with different brokerages. It's just you got to find the one that is right, for you. And again, since they didn't have leads to provide, and I understand, any kind of lead structure is always going to be like a 50-50 or whatever your structure is. I'd rather have some money coming in than no money. And then at the same time, when you build that relationship with the client, that's where your next business is going to come from. They're going to say, "Oh man, you did awesome. You were amazing. You made this happen for me. And I didn't think I can do it. And then we did it." And then they say we, because we did it together as a team.
Yeah.
And then we made it happen. And then next thing you know, I'm getting a call from their aunt, uncle, coworker, friend. And then you don't have to split that because you
Right.
already got your lead. So, I mean, you got to
Exactly.
be clever in certain areas to make it work to your benefit, to your advantage.
Absolutely.
So I
And
try
that
to
kind of
maximize it.
Yeah, and that kind of reminds me of a conversation that you and I had back in November at the investment partner event when we were talking about the little wins and getting that momentum. So, like, how has momentum and getting little wins and getting moving again really contributed to a different mindset for you now?
So the mindset's always really been there because it's motivation. We got to be self motivated in this business anyway.
Yeah,
If you want to make money, you want to achieve in real estate, you got to get after it. And the great part is your phone rings. You have leads coming into you. But even getting started, when we have to do the FRBO calls and we have to put ourselves out there, it's a great warm up in regards to just having those conversations and then just let it be like second nature. So when a call does come in, it's like, okay, like let's get to the real nitty gritty. Like, what's your motivation? What's your timeline? And what's the condition of the property? And what's the price? Like, those are my 4 pillars I always go off of. And it just kind of narrows it down to a good conversation to find out where they're at and see if we could be of service to each other.
could you give
Or
us
if
those
I
four
could be.
pillars? Could you give us those 4 pillars just one more time to make sure everybody got
Yeah.
those? Because I
So
thought
it's
they were really good.
yeah, it's motivation, timeline, condition, and price. And I got that from my mastermind group that I'm a part of. And because I reinvested in 21 and 22, I reinvested into like a mastermind group. And these are like killers in the business. I mean, they make over $500,000 to $1 million annually. And so I really like listen to what they have to say, and they're wholesalers, flippers, everything, everything. And so we actually call ourselves transaction engineers. It's removing like the realtor filter. Like, we have a realtor filter where all we want to do is buy and sell. But really, in essence, what's best for that client? What's that motivation on how could we be of service to them with our experience that we have that they don't know, that we could put them in a position of where they need to be. And so the motivation is, if someone's going to buy or sell, it's what's their why. It's
Yeah.
finding out what their why is and then getting down to the nitty gritty of that. And then what's their timeline? Is it like a pipe dream, or is it like, I want to make this happen in the next 3 months? I'm like, it's on. Let's go. Come to my office. What day works best for you?
Up on my
you
Harley.
know, yeah. Bring your paperwork, and
Bring your paperwork.
we'll go shopping this weekend. You know what I mean? Like, I'll get you in a house in a month and a half, 30-day escrow, of course.
I love it. I love it. I knew I was going to learn a ton today and get stuff that I was going to be able to borrow from you in the future. And I just got a great one there. What you just said for me was so amazing. And I'm totally going to borrow this in the future. Transaction engineer. I love that so much, right?
Yeah,
We
it's
don't,
great.
we get folks on this tunnel vision of like buying and selling and getting a traditional mortgage and things like that. And you're then just like going through the motions. But if you look at it as more of like being an engineer and really dissecting and understanding what's best for them first, and then coming up with a creative solution, like that is a fun way to do business. Like that gets me
Oh,
excited right there.
absolutely.
I felt like in my stomach getting a little excited right there when you started talking because
Right on.
that is a lot more fun than just, hey, I'm getting you to buy a house, right? And we do work in this business to serve people, but we also have to feed our own entrepreneurial spirits here. And so that was so cool how you worded that, and I'm gonna borrow that definitely.
Right on. Cool.
So kind of shifting gears now specifically to like investment partner, because I'm really psyched about this program, and the way that you've just like sprinted with it, I think is just incredible. And so I think it's been exactly 4 months right now, and you've done those 33 doors, also the 3 listings. You're going to get a buyer from one of them. So how did it feel to get that level of success after like the tough 2022 to 2024 time?
So when I first came on board and I was thinking about the investment partner, at first I was like, I don't know anything about property management. I don't want to manage anyone's properties. I barely have a hard time managing my own. And then, but when you guys, your framework that you have, it's like, oh, this is great. And then once I started really dissecting it, I was like, oh, like this is actually super easy. It's like, it's an easy sale. Like it's just one conversation, a visit to a property, and then a call back in regards to a follow up. And then once they sign, like send them another text message, like, thank you for coming on board. You're going to be pleased with our services. And then like another call 3 months later, just to like revisit and say hi, because I plant the seed of like, when you're ready to sell, I'm your go-to girl. I'm your one-stop shop type of person.
Yeah.
It's once I like realized like that, I was like, oh man, this is great. Like all I really do is 2 a week. I'm good with my 8 grand a month. That my bills are paid. I'm living good, right? So that's where I saw that, and I was like, man, this opportunity is like how come more people don't know about this? Then I called Susan. I'm like, girl, you need to get on this. Like, like there's like so many leads, like I can't work them all, and it's a need. I actually really didn't think about how it really is a need for people, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that need it. Like they have super low rate interest rates. They have an emotional attachment to their home. They're not ready to sell. Like a lot of them, I want to say a good 70% of my conversations are first time landlords, because I ask them, I'm like, are you guys a first time landlord or a seasoned investor? And
Yeah.
so like once I find out where they're at, like that motivation, then I'm like, oh, okay, well, what's your time frame? Like, they're like, oh, a lot of times they're moving back to a lot of them from Temecula are moving back to San Diego. So like, oh, I want to go back to San Diego. I'm like, oh, well, what's that time frame like? Oh, within the next 3 or 4 months. I'm like, oh, okay, great. So then we can get started, now, or we can get started in like a month or a month and a half from now. But it's going to take some time for us to go and, get the onboarding process going. Chelsea will be in contact with you, or Chelsea and the team, and it's important you get in touch with them, and really, it's just like a super easy, quick sale.
Yeah.
Get like that. And then you get paid on every Thursday, which is even better than a 30-day escrow. But at the same
Right.
time, I still love my traditional buying and selling. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm down to do that all the time. But sometimes you got to pivot. And I had to pivot of where the opportunity lied. The opportunities of the IPs are coming in. I'm going to maximize that as they come in. And at the same time, I'm still going to, help the clients that want the assistance in regards to buying and selling. But that is a longer process anyway. So it
Yeah.
actually makes up for it when they're doing their pre-approval process or talking to their family and finding out whatever that next step in life looks like for them as far as buying and selling. And in the meantime, my bills are being paid by these IP accounts. And then two, those are like my future sellers. Like I already have like 30 sellers signed up. Just kidding. Just kidding. I'm not that overly confident. But but really, like in essence, I do plant that seed, where if that is a next step, then let's discuss this tax exclusions. Let's discuss
Yeah.
this 1099. And I do want to know a little bit more about the 1099 because I really am not that versed on it. But I mean, I've done a couple sales of 1099s and I just used it, referred them to the servicing party that's helping with it.
Right.
But
So
there's a lot more growth.
So you
Sorry.
mentioned the 31, because that's the your number of accounts, and you joked those are going to be your future sales. So Fellow, our software that we use for nurturing home sellers, they estimate that 5% of the homeowners in your database will turn over every single year, as in they will transact. So you have
Mhm.
141 homeowners now from this program, right? So on average, by Fellow stats, you should be about 7 listings per year just from that database you've grown so far.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to get back to my 40. My 40. I actually want to do 50 sides. I really want to do 50. My business plan is reflecting that to where it's actually 40, total of 40. I want to get back to that 40. And if I could surpass that, even better. But if not, I'll stick with the 40.
I think you're for sure on your way there. And because if we look at 7 listings per year plus SOI, plus your referrals from those people, plus doing those open houses, like we keep adding all these things together, I think 40 is very
Oh,
attainable
I think it's
and even
totally
and even and
attainable.
even modest in some ways.
Yeah.
You will definitely run into the factor of how much time do you have, right? Like that will be your become at some point your tipping point is how much time is available in the day. So that's so cool.
That's true. That's where the balance comes in from. That's where I'm going to be like, I might need some help.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Good. Good. I know you're already working with like Rocio and Susanna on getting some help. So that's
yeah.
awesome.
Daniel was asking about the motivating questions that I asked. The motivating question is, why are they looking for property management services in the first place? Why do they want to buy? Why are they looking to buy now? Do they need to be out of their lease? Is their lease coming up? They've always thought about buying and wanting to buy. Do they have to sell because they have to move to a certain location? Do they not want to manage the property anymore themselves? Or they've always had questions about it, but they want to start building a property profile, which I think is super great too. So those are the kinds of questions I ask them is because that's going to move the needle for them to make them making a move.
Can you share
Welcome.
any specific deals or moments that made you realize that this investment partner thing you were on track? Like, what was the first one where you're like, okay, this is going now?
Once I realized, I'm like, oh man, this is a game changer. Like everyone, like they need help with this, and it's like I tell them, we have such a great team that manages our doors 24/7. And so sometimes they'll say, "Oh, look at the reviews." I'm like, "Yeah, but the reviews, like these are people that don't qualify for the house,
Right.
because you know, they have a history of evictions or judgments, or they have shitty credit, or or whatever the reason is. I'm like, and we can't help who leaves a bad review, but I do have clients that I can refer to you
Yeah.
that are more than willing to go and help in that sense, and just really overcoming the objections, whatever the objections that they give to me. There's always like another answer that's ready to come across. And I'm like, this team is great. And then I always tell them too, I say, I take a lot of pride in regards to the work that I do. I have a lot of integrity and I strive to exceed expectations. And I don't want to work with a team that won't do the same or that
Yeah.
won't deliver the same. So you'll be happy with their services. They're very transparent with everything. And if there's any questions or concerns, you can always reach out to me as well too. I'll always be your backbone in this whole
That's
side of it.
amazing. Yeah, because at the end of the
Eh,
day, you're the real estate professional. You're the person they trusted, and so if you
mhm.
remain available to them, that's gonna make a huge difference.
Yeah,
And
and even like with the listings, like the 3 listings that I got, they wanted the property. They were from the property management,
yeah,
and they were just like, well, I'm like, we could sell it. They're like, oh, you're kind of deciding on what I want to do. I'm like, okay, well, I'll go ahead and provide a net sheet over to you in regards to a sale, and then explain the process and the property management and that side too. And then you decide. You talk to your family, decide which one works best for you, and then just let me know. And
okay,
so
I
that's
love
how I
that.
got
I
it.
love what you just said that you're doing, and this was actually what I was just going to ask you next: is what that process looked like. So, what you're doing is you're producing a net sheet at that point for them to look like what their proceeds will look like, and then that's
Mhm,
helping them. That's giving them financial data to fuel their decision. From more of
mhm.
like a tactical standpoint, where are you getting that net sheet from, and how are you sending it to them, and how are you having that discussion?
So that comes through email, and then I get it through my escrow officer. So
Escrow.
I reach out to my escrow officer. I say, hey, I need a net sheet, and I just let them know what the purchase price is with the comparative market analysis rate, purchase price. And then I ask them what their payoff is, and then choose, like, there's apps that we can use too that gives us kind of a little bit of like an insight of what the payoff is. But I just
Yeah.
let them know what is around your payoff, and then I'll just put the escrow title fees, and well, the escrow officer does that, and then I'll email it to them, and I'll say, okay, well, this is an estimated net settlement that you would be getting if we were to sell it at this price, and then if you a lot of them again are like they're homeowners, so they live in the house, so they recently have to move out.
Right.
So it's like, we can, if obviously if they're married, they'll get a 500 tax exclusion, and if they're single, they'll get the 250. So I just explain that to them in that sense. And if not, and if it's like an investment for them, or they never lived in the house, well, then you'll be paying 33.3% tax on the capital gains. So I'm like, or we could do a 1031 exchange, and we can just kind of like position that into a new property, and then you don't have to pay anything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you decide what works best for you.
I love that you're giving them options, right? And because you don't know what's going to be best for them, and you're helping figure out their why, and you're being a
Yeah.
transaction engineer, right? You're giving them
Yeah.
options because ultimately people want to feel like they have a choice. They have some control over
Yes.
their destiny, some control of their life. So the fact that you're not
Yeah.
cornering them,
For
and I
sure.
really love that you're doing it through the vehicle of a net sheet as opposed to a CMA. I think CMA is what we've always recommended in the past.
Mm.
But again,
I do both. I do
you do
both.
both. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll go on the MLS, and I'll pull the CMA, and I'll transfer to the cloud CMA,
Uh huh.
which is in the matrix,
Yep.
and then I'll send them an email, and I'll give them both. So
Yep.
I'll say this is the why I suggest this purchase price. These are supporting like kind properties that have sold, active and pending within a mile radius of the home, and this is how average days on market, and then this is what we can expect. If not, then we can also put it on the property management side too, and try to get a tenant for you at the same time, and we could do both and see which one hits first. But I'm going to always promote the sale first.
In my experience, when you do those, it always turns into the sale. Have you done any yet that are concurrent listings of for sale and listing at rent and rent at the same time, or have they all been like, "Hey, I'm thinking about both," and they just go the sales route?
So I've done both. Well, actually, all three of them. So all three of
Okay.
them, you guys put it up on the property management side, and then we have it listed as well too on the
For
MLS.
sale. Okay, so you are doing them
Hmm.
all three are doing it concurrent. Oh, that's awesome.
Hmm.
That's really cool.
Yeah, but I think Chelsea only just puts it on the CNC site, which I'm okay with. Because
Yeah.
if you put it on Zillow, then it's going to be all inundated with like, well, wait a minute, is it for rent or for sale? I'm like,
Yeah.
well, it's both, but we have it on our internal site, and we're going to focus on, trying to see which one hits first. But a lot of times, I try to focus it more on the sale.
Yeah. I don't think those websites will allow you to do concurrent. I think for like Zillow and Redfin specifically, you have to do one or the other.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
So love that you're doing that. Do you ever get any type of pushback from that type of concept?
Like, what do you mean pushback?
Like if you suggest, hey, we could always list it for sale and list it for rent at the same time. Does that draw any hesitation for people?
Usually, once they kind of go more into like the sales side, I kind of push more of that
Yeah.
than the property management side, because it's already in the back of their head that they're already gonna like offset it from their inventory. I don't mean to say it like that, but like they're okay with letting it go.
Yeah.
So with that being said, then that's where we'll focus on, doing the open houses and just trying to get the max exposure in regards to getting the number that they want. And then I ask them, well, what do you plan on doing with that money? Are you going to buy another property in San Diego or wherever you're going to go? Because if so, we can totally help you with that. I'll go out there. I'm like, I could help you on that buying side if you want to buy out there, or are you thinking about purchasing another rental property? Do you want to buy units? Because I want to buy units, so I feel you on that. I can help you with that too. So it just kind of all depends on exactly what they want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you're taking that time to understand what's the sale going to do for you, right? Like what's that next step? Because
The motivation,
the motivate is really the motivation, and
fair
you're pairing that with
motivation.
your net sheet. So it's not like, hey, I'm selling it for $1 million. It's like, no, my net is $150,000, right? So like, what am I specifically going to do with that $150,000? And
Right, right.
you're making that money like almost available to them now, and so they start mentally spending it.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah, they're like, oh, I'm going to pay off my debt or whatever they're going to do with it. It's like, oh,
Yep.
okay, that's. I mean, I understand that. We've all been there. I mean, I have. It's
Yep.
part of a life, right? Ups and downs
Exactly.
of it.
Exactly. Hearing all this, I mean, like you have wealth of knowledge, wealth of experience. What advice would you give to other experienced agents who might be kind of struggling to adapt to this current market?
Really, I would just say like how to get in front of those that want to make moves, and that's where and just like really like hone in on that, like find out where they're at. If their time frame is like if they want to make a move within the next 3 months, be on them, be on them like white on rice. Have you seen properties? Do you want to go see properties? And sometimes it's like, well, I'll take you to go see this property. And then when you're there in person, it kind of like solidifies, if it's a name to a face, and it solidifies who you are and the value that you're going to give to them, as far as, like, oh, okay, like let's realistically make this happen. And usually when I do go meet a client, I'll leave them with like a buyer's guide that I get from title,
Nice.
whether it's a buyer or a seller, and I'll staple my card to it. And then I said, this is just some information, whether if they're first time home buyers or even if they purchased before too, they're probably not going to remember the whole process. But I just give them value. Like these are definitions and acknowledgments and roles that each party plays in a real estate transaction, and it's just a good framework to have. But of course, I'm going to be here and guide you out the whole entire way, with any questions that come up. But like this is just something that I can leave with you as a guide.
That was super helpful. Like try to get in front of those only that want to make a move. Like focus on your highest and best clients, right? And then give value. So that's more for the experienced agents. Now I want to come back to something you said in the very beginning and this one's more a little bit more for newer agents and I think experienced too, but I'm thinking of the newer agents when I'm asking this is you said this is a game of trust in a matter of seconds. So I think for like people high level skill like yourself, that's a very like you just know how to do that, right? Like probably an innate ability that you just automatically have. But but you're already shaking your head no. So from a
I'm
more
like,
yeah, that's where I'm going though, is from a more
yeah.
tactical standpoint, how do you gain trust in a matter of seconds?
So, okay, I'll do with the Zillow clients because
Yeah,
referrals are, you already got an in
you got
because,
the trust. Yeah,
yeah, you got the trust from whoever gave you the number. But with like Zillow clients, it's like I struggle with that too sometimes, in a sense where it's like I try to provide value, but even then, like, where are they at? So you try to see where they're at in like a matter of seconds, you know? So, like,
yeah,
I've gone to a property and so, like, I'll talk about like two buyers that I went to do showings with. One of them, she's talking to my lender about getting pre qualified right now, and that's the one I was hoping to get into contract already this week, but
yeah,
she's kind of lagging a little bit. So I reached out to her today, and I'm like, hey, where are we at with the pre qualification process? She's like, oh, I'm still working on it. I'm like, okay, well, I'm here if you need if you need assistance. You want to come to my office, bring your paperwork. I can help you with that too. Like anything to kind of like help push her a little bit is
yeah,
where I'm helping her with that. And then like there was another one that I went to in Riverside, and she was just wanted to see the house. I'm like, so where are we at, like what's your time frame wise, like as far as like wanting to purchase property? And she's like, oh well, we're just kind of like looking and just seeing. Really wanted to see this area. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, have you talked to a mortgage lender yet? And they're like, no, we're just kind of looking. I'm like, okay. I'm like, would you want to talk to a mortgage lender? And they're like, yeah, well, we've thought about it. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, are you a W-2 employer? Are you 1099? Are you self-employed? Like, what's your employment status? Like, oh, we have a bail bonds business. I'm like, oh, great. Okay, you're 1099. I'm like, okay, it's great. I said, I have lenders that specifically work with self-employed people like yourself, and we could get this process going. And then she ghosted me after that. She's like, okay, I'll be in touch with you. Okay, bye. And then she just took off. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, here's a buyer's guide information. I was chasing her. I'm like, here's a buyer's guide information. And like, you can, like any questions, like don't hesitate to reach out, or, it's like one of those things where it's like, how do you provide value in a matter of seconds, in a sense of like, I'm here to help you any step of the way. So this
yeah.
is where I literally would just say that, and hopefully follow up with it and see if I get a call back. And I didn't know
Yeah.
with that one, but another one I did. Like a few of them, I've gotten a few calls back.
But you have to put yourself out there, and you have to know that there's going to be
Yeah,
rejection, and the only
yeah.
way to get to that future yes is to continue to put yourself out there, right?
But you're gonna get more no's in this business than yes all the time. So
Exactly.
you got to get used to the rejection, and
Right.
then
Right.
the yeses that you do get are the little wins that it's like yes, it's like
Right.
let's
Right.
keep moving
And
forward with that one.
savor those wins. Savor those wins. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you can go back in time, and I'll let you choose your adventure. If you can go back in time to when you're first starting out, or maybe if you go back into time into 2022 when the market changed on a dime, choose one of those two. What advice would you give yourself today?
Oh man. Okay, so deals versus no deals, is that what we're talking about?
Just what advice would you give yourself when
Pipeline.
you're first? Maybe do both. What advice
Okay.
would you give
Okay.
yourself when you're
Okay.
first back to 2017? Back to 2017, you're first
Okay.
starting real estate. You just got your license. You did 4 transactions. You did 8 the next year. What advice
Yeah.
would Bindy today tell Bindy 7 years ago?
I would say learn from people that have already been that have already walked that path. Like take those golden nuggets and run with it because like why reinvent the wheel if people are already like making millions of dollars, $500,000. It just it's not rocket science. It's actually pretty easy, but it's just like keep that pipeline full. Keep having conversations. Try to have at least 5 to 10 conversations, real estate conversations with people every day. Whether it's a new person, whether it's not a new person, take cards with you everywhere. Give cards if you hear people talking real estate, even at a restaurant. I'm like, oh hey, I do real estate. I'm like, here's my card. If you have any questions, you can call me. But I mean, just like always be prepared to have any kind of real estate conversation with anyone, anywhere you go. Everyone has a friend, family member, or someone in real estate all the time. Everyone has someone in real estate. And it's just like separate yourself in a sense of the knowledge that you gain from others and run with it. Like
That's
just
so
take it and
amazing.
run with it.
That's so amazing. I love that. I wrote down some notes from that too. You kind of referenced this earlier. What are you most excited about as you look forward to 2025 and beyond?
Oh my God. I'm really excited about this year. I really, really am. I don't want to feel overwhelmed. I want to feel like a balance in life, in real estate and personal. I want to buy more properties. The only way I could do that is being of service to others and really coming from a place of heart, not from your pocketbook, or not don't think about money. Because to me, I think when you come from a place of service, like a really place of service, the Lord will bless you and the money will come. And I mean, I don't mean to go all religious, but like I'm a believer in that. I'm
Yeah,
a believer in you do good and good comes back to you. Like as long as I'm coming from a place, and I don't have all the answers. And when I don't have the answers, I reach out to people that do, and I'll be the first to say, you know what, that's a really great question. I'll get back to you on that, and then go seek the answer, and then come back, and then say it like you already knew the answer from the start. You just gotta let them know in that sense, and just be honest. Don't lie, cheat, or steal.
yeah. So cool. So cool. Well, Bindy, you're amazing. Thanks for having me today. You got a bunch of love in the chat.
So
Last question
beautiful.
for you is how do we continue to get more Bindy in our lives? How do we continue to learn and grow with you?
Oh, I'm like on the Zoom meetings all the time with you guys, like with everyone. So I mean, like I'm always, and you can always get a hold of me too. You can always call me, text me. I'm always available. I'm always willing to help any way I can.
Awesome. I love that. And you mentioned that you want to have balance here in the future. Are you opening to mentoring agents in the future? I know that's like something maybe work towards. I don't know, but is that something you're open to in the future?
Yeah, why not? I mean, I'm always willing to go and help. I mean, if someone wants to like pair up with a deal, and we could figure out some kind of a split, like that's fair across the board. I'm cool with that. I've done that before with other agents. I have no problem with that. And walk you through the process, and let you lead. Bottom line is, if we're gonna work a deal together, if you're a client, I will never overstep. Like that's your client. I'll let you deal. I'll let you lead. I just follow, and I'll just help you make sure that we come to a successful close. Because I haven't opened an escrow that I haven't closed. Knock on wood.
Ooh, whoa, that's pretty impressive.
I got some good skills. Got good closing
Wow,
ratio.
For those of you that are newer, I don't think you realize how impressive that is. That's insane with how many
Yeah.
transactions she's done. That's really cool.
I
Yeah,
mean,
Kevin's
it's a
shocked.
big
Yeah,
deal. It's a big deal. I mean,
that's
like,
a really
it's a
big deal.
lot of work for everyone to get
Yeah,
in. So to lose a deal over home inspection or appraisal, oh no, we're gonna make this happen.
yeah.
And so, like, I mean, I've had some like gray hairs grown from it, but
I got my gray
besides
hairs coming
age,
in too. I hear you.
you know,
uh,
but there where there's a will, there's a way. Bottom line, a seller wants to sell, a buyer wants to buy. Get the egos out of the way and just
yeah,
come to a close.
I love
And
it.
sometimes it's not easy, and you have to jump through hoops to get there. In fact, every deal you got to jump through hoops. There's not a never really an easy deal, but there's always a lesson to be learned in every single transaction. And so I always learn from every single one.
I love that. There's no such thing as failure, just only learning, right? Only learning experiences. And that goes back to you being a fighter because you're a fighter for your clients, fighter for yourself, fighter for your teammates. And so that's so
Yeah.
cool. Also, for anybody who's not already with Real Brokerage, another opportunity to work with Bindy also is to name her as your sponsor at Real as well to be able to work with her. Just throwing that out there. So, Bindy,
Oh, that's
thank you
cool.
so much for your time today. I
Ah,
learned
thank
so much. I
you.
wrote so many freaking notes. I learned so much, and I love the 4 pillars. I
Yeah.
love the deal engineer. So amazing. So great
Transaction
today.
engineer.
Transaction engineer. And yeah, I'm going to be borrowing from this nonstop. But you're amazing. Thank you so much. I know everybody really took a lot from me today. So thank you for your time.
It
Yeah.
really means a lot. It really means a lot. I do feel really honored and blessed, and like I'm very thankful. I really am thankful. Thank you for having me, trusting
Awesome.
in me.
Thanks again, Bindy. Everybody take care.
Okay, bye.